Hello, my name is Fayaz and welcome to Imagine, the Sagiko Village Academy podcast. Let me begin by giving you a little bit of a background about why this video. And conversations used to be how most societies, most cultures would debate things, would talk about things, would think about the developments that were taking place, would brainstorm about new ideas, how to take things forward. And unfortunately, most cultures all around the world, and including ours, has lost this art to a great extent. And many people are trying to experiment with newer ways using technology and all the modern means to sort of restart this culture and contribute to this conversational culture. And Imagine, the Sagiko Village Academy podcast is our attempt to contribute to this conversational space, for deeper, meaningful and open conversations. And so thank you for tuning in. And I wanted to begin this sort of episode by sharing some of my experience of some of my educational experience. And before I do that, I also want to share that this hopefully is going to be a longer engagement, and it will use multiple formats. It will have videos like this where some thoughts are shared, and then we get responses and comments from you, and then we build on the conversation, because the episodes we're trying to keep shorter so that they are able to reach more people, are able to engage. And then we'll also have sort of this interview format where two people can also engage in a conversation, and where we'll also, as time permits, have group conversations on specific topics that we think are relevant for us to think about. So education comes from Educo, which means to draw out. And by that idea, somebody who's being educated would experience that whatever is inherent in him, the inherent capacities, capabilities, desires and dreams and wishes, those will be sort of nurtured and brought out. And or in other words, the capacity of the person will be built in a way so that they are able to become what they are supposed to become. They are able to be who they want to be, or who they are supposed to be in this world. And unfortunately, the dominant sort of educational system that is in practice all around the world right now functions on almost an opposite premise, which is that we need to have a set curriculum, set syllabus, set methodology for everybody, and we need to teach these young people, we need to tell them what to learn. Whereas education really means to just facilitate for the person, so that the person brings out what is in him or her already. Both cultural wisdom as well as the cutting edge science have now sort of reached an agreement on this, that human beings are a special creation. The Darwin theory of we being the descendants of monkeys is old science now, has been proven wrong. And both the cultural wisdom and the cutting edge science now agree that every human being has limitless capacity and has a fingerprint specific purpose for coming into this life. And the job of the education, therefore, is to help the person to become more confident and develop the tools and methods to understand their own selves and to analyze their own selves and understand their purpose, and then become sure about it, confident about it, and develop ways and means to then become that person that they are supposed to be. So unfortunately, this limitless capacity that we are born with is hindered, and in many ways the schooling experience, the methodology that is used, plays a disabling role in many ways, in my understanding. And we often see children discouraged from asking questions. Even parents do this, not just teachers in schools, but also parents do this, or adults in general tend to do this. They discount the questions of children, they discount the choices that children make. We don't allow children to make any choices, we don't allow them to ask questions, we direct or always try to discipline them in our understanding. So we want them to stay calm, not disturb the order, don't disturb the adults when adults are talking or doing stuff. And what this disciplining invariably does is it does not allow the child to become confident. It hinders the process of them becoming a full person. I mean, when we don't allow them, for example, to make their own decisions, and as adults we want them to make their own decisions, but then we have not, we've already sort of when that capacity could be built, we have in fact sort of disabled that capacity. So those kinds of things tend to happen. So I mean, these conversations are important because we need to think about how we are preparing the next generation, and how most of us make choices of security over creativity. And given the magnitude of problems that we are faced with, creativity and courage needs to be displayed, it needs to be brought out. It's not missing, but it's not practiced as much as, for example, security is practiced. So I think those things need to be inculcated in our children. We need to treat them as we would want them to function as adults, what we want them to become. That's how we need to treat them. We need to envision what we want them to, the role that we want them to play, and then we need to treat them like that as when they are children, so that they can then take on that role. Because as children they can take on any role, they can take on everything is possible, and there's no limit. But because we are not treated well, and we don't treat our children well, most of us end up making sort of living limiting lives. So I want to pause this conversation here to keep it short, and look forward to your comments and responses. And again, thank you very much for tuning in. And if you liked If you like this conversation, please subscribe and share. Help sort of bring in more people to the conversation, because the more people engage in meaningful, deeper conversations about how we are shaping the future generations, how we are preparing our future generations to, deal with the complexities of the current world, and then take the evolution forward. I mean, it's a serious, obviously a serious and ongoing conversation, and we should all try to engage in it and take the responsibility of understanding the nature of childhood, and how best we can make it, how can we make it the best of the experiences for our children. So thank you again, and look forward to bringing in the second episode.